G'day guys, and welcome back to a brand new video today. Today we're going to be looking at the Protoss vs Zerg matchup. In particular, how to scout in the early game so that you don't die to all the random stuff that Zerg can throw at you. We're going to be looking at the general macro early game scouting that you need to do to not die to all-ins, such as 12 pulls, Ling floods, 12 pull drone pull, this kind of stuff. I've got a bunch of examples, so let's just jump right on in. So the first game that we're going to be looking at today is a Protoss vs Zerg versus Reyna. This is actually just going to show you all the standard scouting that we have to do in Protoss vs Zerg. I'm not going to show you the full game. I end up losing this game, of course, because, you know, it's Reyna. But in this game, I go for a probe scout before I build my first pylon. So one of the first probes that returns minerals, I send out to scout across the map. And then I rally down to the natural to build the pylon. I have plenty of build orders on my YouTube channel already, so I'm not going to spend any time looking at the build order. We're just going to look at what this probe sees. He gets over here so quickly that you can block hatcheries. So that's what I'm going to do here. You know, Zerg does not have minerals to build this hatchery on the low ground with that drone, but I am paying attention to see if any drones are moving out past me. So I noticed that drone going to the third base. I still have to keep it here though, because there are times if you go straight away into the main base, you know, as soon as the drone moves to the third base, they actually with their overlord see that you've moved into the main base and pull the drone back to the natural. So that's why I stayed longer there. I go on the main base and confirm it's not something tricky. He's building plenty of drones. He's got his gas. He's going to be building his pool. I try to do some micro here to deny some mining. It's very, very minor, but just try and be a bit annoying if you can, if you have the APM. If you don't, just patrol your worker around. That's all you need to do. Now, the key thing here is that we need to leave the base by 2 minutes. That's, you know, when the queen starts, the zerglings start. So you want to be out of that main base and doing the next additional stage, which I'll talk about in just a second. Sometimes, though, you need to be very careful. They might trick you. They might put their pull down a little bit early and do a zergling flood, which ends up meaning, you know, the pull might be finishing now, 5 seconds early, or 10 seconds early at 150. It needs to finish at 2 minutes. You can then also check to see if the hatcheries are wiggling, building queens, right? If both hatcheries are building queens, then they cannot have a third base, okay? Which means if they don't have a third base on location, there's a proxy hatch. That's a huge scouting tip for you. Next, I send my probe to patrol. And what this is doing is seeing if any zerglings are running across the map. So usually Zerg players build 4 zerglings. Sometimes they sneak them around the corner. So in this case, I see one zergling and he splits the other one off. So I want to go back in and drag it like that. You know, I want to follow that zergling so it doesn't get away from me. I only see 2 zerglings though. So I'm actually going to send my adept around the top side to cover the other entry point for zerglings. Now I'm just going to go back here as well to show you a little trick that I did. So as my probe is retreating from these zerglings, just in case there's a zergling flood, as soon as these zerglings go back, I patrol it, just in case more zerglings come running by. If you were really, really scared of your Zerg opponent, let's say I'm playing a notorious cheeser, I would send that probe back into the third base. That way there's no way zerglings can sneak around the edge of the map. This is how you scout for Ling floods. Now your adept comes into their base. What is it doing? It's checking for a third base, if you haven't already confirmed it. This needs to be down by 3 minutes. If it's not, the guy's cheesing you, wall, build a shield battery. It also then shades into the main base. See if there's a lair building, if he has drones. It then shades onto the natural base and checks the drone count there, and I see so many drones there. So I'm very, very confident that Reyna is not cheesing me in this game, and I send my adept home. This covers all the early game scouting that you need to do. Make sure you send your adept out of there by 3:30. That's around when speed finishes. So nice and simple. We'll move on to the next game, because I'm not going to show you the rest of this game. But this is just how you scout in the early game to confirm that nothing weird is happening. You see drone counts on the natural. You see the potential paths around the map for the zerglings to go. So in this replay, it's going to be covering how to deal with a 12 pull. Very simple build that you're going to be coming across a lot, I'm sure. I think it's very, very popular on the ladder. So once again, I do the same probe scout. One of the first probes to return minerals, I send to scout out. And you need to do this. You can't send the one that builds the pylon because they'll be able to build the hatchery in time. So my probe gets across the map, and it's going to be patrolling in the natural once again. But what I notice is that no drone walks past. And that's odd, right? The drone should be going out to build a hatchery. So I'm already suspicious. I mean, Mighty Kiwi is a cheesy guy, so I have my suspicions that a 12 pull is happening. But we're going to patrol here for a bit. When I send my probe up into the high ground, you know, same time as before, what if he's trying to trick me out? I'm actually going to see this drone here. I'm going to go back down to block the natural again. I already know this is a 12 pull though. Because this hatchery is so late, I know it's a 12 pull, or at least a pull first. So I'm going to go into the main base to confirm. I don't even need to see the pull. I see 3 eggs building units. And you're like, well, they could be drones, right? If they were drones, they would actually be staggered. They wouldn't all be at the same time. So that's a really easy way to know if someone's building Zerglings in the early game, if all of their eggs are being used at once. So I'm going to do a nice build at home to defend this. There is ways you can do 1 gate defense against this, but I'm just going to do the safer 2 gate defense. Second gateway before core, get a zealot, get an earlier pylon as well so you don't get supply blocked. Throughout all of this, you need to continue probe production. Then I'm going to pull 4 probes down to the natural to make 5 with my probe in the wall. And micro, just my best with zealot and probe here. So I want them to not be attacking my core. I want them to not be attacking my gateway. Oh, look at this fancy camera work. It's amazing. So just kiting back and forth. Don't lose the zealot. Don't get surrounded. It's going to get tricky. In this game, though, Mighty Kiwi keeps building Zerglings. And you're probably asking, oh, why did we have to pull the probes? Is the zealot not enough? And yeah, the zealot I found on a lot of these shorter rush distance maps is not enough initially. The probes really add quite a bit. And as soon as your first adept gets out, you've held it. And I'm feeling a bit, you know, tense at this moment as my second gateway does get low. So I'm going to take this fight with my zealots. I would not suggest doing this if you're not entirely confident like I was that we could win the fight. But it's a learning experience and we ended up winning. He's going to dive on this gateway, which does kill it. But he loses every single Zergling, I think. Apart from, I guess, 1. And now I have double adept. So you can also send the 2 zealots across the map if you want as well and build a 3rd adept. If you do that, you want to click with your zealots onto the queens. And the queens will have to run away from the zealots just because they're so strong, while the adepts shade between the bases. Now I do a terrible job of microing my adepts this game, but I'm so far ahead. I haven't cut worker production. I have my second base going down, and you're like, oh, your second base is so delayed. We're up in workers, it's totally fine, we're really, really ahead. And I'm just going to transition into my Void Ray style. I will say, against 12 pulls in particular, if you play Void Rays, it's very, very common that they do a queen walk after a 12 pull. So keep that in mind, and that's what Mighty Kiwi does eventually do in this game. And I hold it quite easily, just because I'm so far ahead. I mean, he doesn't have a 3rd base at the moment. I am really far ahead. So this is how you defend that kind of 12 pull. For this last game that we're going to look at, once again versus Mighty Kiwi, the cheese master himself. Exact same thing. In this game, he's going to go for a 12 pull drone pull in this case. So, you know, tiny bit different scouting that I need to do. And the important thing in these cases is to keep the probe alive. Just as this probe is going across the map, I want to say, you know, any kind of like roach stuff, any ling floods, the way you hold this stuff is by keeping your first scouting probe alive and patrolling it outside their base, outside creep. So you can see the units coming out. This is how you do it. And if they have to delay or go a different way around, you might get surprised, but it hits so much later that you'll be in a much better spot to hold it. So again, patrolling the natural, and then going to the main base, and I'm going to see... again, I don't see a worker, so I'm a bit confused. He might have taken a 3rd base, that's fine. But I see the 12 pull. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm going to patrol here to see if he builds Zerglings. Like I said, this is it in action, right? Before, like I said, if he was actually building drones, he wouldn't have kept up 3 lava. I mean, if he did and built 3 drones at once there, that's quite a mind game. So credit to him. But we do 2 gate defense once again. I build my pylon in the wall this time because I really like having a long choke point. for the Zealot to kite back into. And I now see this drone pool coming, so I'm like, okay, all hands on deck. What do I need to do? I need to pull all my probes from the main base. I leave like 1 or 2 there, I think, to mine some residual money. But we're going to pull them down. Zealot on hold position in the wall. Unfortunately, I lose this probe, which is kind of embarrassing, I guess. But the probes have to go on hold position in the wall behind the Zealot. Hold position, hold position. When the drones mineral walk through, you then attack move with your probes. This is how you hold this build. It's really, really simple once you know the trick. Just hold position behind the Zealot and attack move once the drones come in. They will all get surrounded by your probes and the Zealot will be safe in the wall. So I hold this off really, really simply. Really, really cleanly. He actually didn't do a full drone pool this game for some reason. Like, he has 6 workers still at home. But still. We've held this, and that's going to be GG. And out of this, I'm just going to transition the exact same way. I'm up in workers. I'm going to build workers. I'm going to build a Stargate. I hope you guys have really enjoyed this video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe, comment down below if you have any questions about anything. This topic is quite hard and I can't cover everything within this video. Just let me know. I'll be happy to answer any specific questions that you have. And send this to your friends who are struggling in Protoss vs Zerg in the early game and dying to Zerg, cheese, and all-ins. They're tricky, I know, but hopefully this set you guys down the right path. I just also want to say thank you for everybody. We hit 1,000 subs on YouTube, which is really, really awesome. So just want to say thank you for everyone who supported me all this time. Either way, hope you guys stay safe, stay well, and do really, really, really well on the ladder. Peace out, guys. Bye.